Kathy, let me say, first of all, that this is just an honor for us to be able to speak. And we love telling the stories of the incredible women in Alabama. And you, of course, are an exceptional part of this story. So thank you for allowing us to do the story, allowing us to do the interview. And we hope that it's an honor, and it's an honor for us for sure.
It's an honor.
So let's start with your career. It seems like if you look at the body of your work and the revitalization and creation of physical spaces that you've done, that it's just well beyond the physical, that your projects in particularly have really fostered community. They fostered social behaviors. Are there any correlations, any principles in doing that have translated into how you lead your business, your organizations? Anything in that transfer of the physical that imply social behaviors that you've learned that can correlate?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that in my work, and really being a Southern woman, so we were talking about all these extraordinary women in Alabama, which I'm so proud of, that we are about bringing people together and finding commonality. And so I think the work that I've been doing with our built environment, with Pepper Place and Park Place and the neighborhoods and the buildings that we've renovated, have really been about building community, how to find and create spaces that work for everybody and that will build community, because I think that's the guiding principle. If you can create a space where everybody feels comfortable and can come together, then that is successful. And I think it's the same with companies and organizations. You know, if you can build teams that work well together, but really just thinking about the commonality and the sense of community that can occur, I would say that's it for me, the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. So in the real estate industry, mm-hmm. what has been your experience as a woman, and how has it changed from the beginning of your career to the end of your career? Has there been any changes, or have you seen any noticeable differences in women in that particular industry?
Complete change. And it's really exciting to see it. So I've been doing this for a long time. I started working with my dad straight out of college. So I was very young, and it was a long time ago. My grandfather started our company. So it's been a family business. And so it was a world of men. Commercial real estate really was just, there were a few women, and we all knew and supported each other. But it was a very male-dominated community. And so that's been the real changes that I've seen. Now, today, it's completely different. We have crew, I mean, there are organizations that support women in real estate specifically. I have extraordinary women who work in our company that are, in fact, we have, our COO is a male, but everybody else are mostly all women. So, it's been a big change in the real estate industry, and it's been great to see it. I think it's been fun to watch that evolution. So I would say night and day from when I started to now, in a good way.
It seems on several of these projects that you've been involved with, you've had the ability and been very successful in creating consensus. I can imagine that you've had to bring people to the table who have represented very different, sometimes opposing entities, organizations, backgrounds, points of view. What would you say has been the most beneficial thing as far as learning how to build consensus? Any particular, habits? How did you cultivate that skill? Because it is such an important part of leadership.
Well, I always start with common ground, always. And when we do a neighborhood, we've worked in residential neighborhoods, a lot of in commercial buildings, but in neighborhoods where you have people from different backgrounds, different points of view coming together. And where we always start is, what are our guiding principles? Where do we agree? What are our points of common ground? And we set those principles as a way to move forward. So we did the project in downtown Birmingham, which was a mixed income, mixed use neighborhood, Park Place. And the residents who'd been there for a long time were just wonderful. And they, what we said was, what's important to this neighborhood, what works for this neighborhood. And we came away with a series of, again, guidelines, guiding principles, values that we all felt strongly about. And those became our roadmaps. We just followed those principles, and then we were able to work out any differences. That I think is always the best place to start.
In this exposure, it sounds like that you have had the opportunity to travel, to go to communities throughout the country, probably throughout the world. What have those experiences outside the state of Alabama taught you about being from Alabama and coming back, and how you feel about your community?
Well, first, seeing other places, what you realize is how fortunate we all are to be from Alabama. It is just the most extraordinary state in terms of our natural resources and our cities. And, I'm just always struck with the beauty and wonder of Alabama when I travel. I have had the opportunity to work with mayors around the country, different mayors in different cities. And, very quickly, I learned that cities all have the same issues. There's one conversation going on all over the United States, and we all struggle with the same problems. So finding that, again, that point of commonality and guiding principles, that sort of best practices that work in cities to follow, to help guide us as we try to repair neighborhoods and bring people together. That's been a wonderful thing. So first, it's great to get away from Alabama and see different things, because I think you're struck by how similar we are. But I think it also has helped me really build this just deep, deep appreciation, gratitude for being from Alabama, because it's such a beautiful place. And the people in Alabama are awesome. That's the other part of our state, is just, we will work together to solve problems, and it's important that we do so.
And I think we've been seeing that so much more over the past 6-7 months than we ever have before, and how uniquely positioned we are to be successful in those relationships.
With this virus, we're all in it together, absolutely. And I think that hopefully will bring us in that direction, because that's where we need to get to.
How have, now with the virus, and there's certainly going to be changes, in the way that our lives are from this point forward. Mm-hmm. How do you think that might change real estate? How will that change our physical spaces? Can you any ideas around the fact that instead of hundreds of people coming to an office space every day, our patterns and our behaviors may be very different in our work life? You think there'll be any changes in the real estate field, or how will it affect it?
Well, I think there'll be a lot of changes. And I think we're starting to see those, in terms of offices. You can take different areas, but I think that it will give us more flexibility and more choice. What we're doing in our office now is that we rotate. We all came back, we left the office, everyone left and worked from home, then we came back to the office. And now we've sort of settled on this flexibility, this flow of people in and out of the office, so we can give everybody a little bit more room. And then we have some of the people I work with have children, and so we allow ourselves just more, we're more nimble, and the ability to choose. And I think that's a good thing, because the work still gets done. Everybody on our team is amazing, works all the time. So I get emails late at night sometimes when their kids are in bed. But I think that that we will see much more flexibility in how we use commercial spaces, office spaces. One of the things that we've been involved in, the farmers market, has been a tremendous shift for us, because we were very nervous on the front end. We created a drive-through market, and now we're back walking around, everyone covering their faces. We don't have dogs and music, and it's not, we've lost that magical gathering of a festival. But we're still getting the business done, and we're helping our farmers. So it's just, we've had to be nimble and adjust constantly, almost on a weekly basis. And I think that's been good. It's helped us be more creative. It's helped us be gentler with each other in terms of how we work with just the difficulty of being so tied down. And so I'm very hopeful that when we come out of this, and we will come out of it, that it will be a positive thing in many ways.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, I know.
We all hope and pray.
It's not easy. It's been a long time, I know.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned building consensus and how important it is to identify those guiding principles and have that buy-in from all parts of the project. Are there any personal habits that you use to help you identify and stay on track with those guiding principles? I mean, the idea of creating a vision and staying focused on that vision when the details of anything in particular can always distract you or pull you away. I'm just curious, are there any particular habits or practices that you have that help you focus on those principles and stay true to the original vision?
Well, I would say, and you probably know this because you're busy too, that in a world of busy and trying to get things done, there's a real opportunity to focus is important, because again, so many ideas and so much effort to try to get a project completed. But for me, I think it's about trying to find a place of calm and to personally just quiet, calm for me. So I love being in nature. I walk every day. I love to go fishing with my husband, anywhere that I can be out in the natural world and be quiet or have time to think and reflect. That's really, really important to me. And if I get too far away from that, if I miss my walk or if I, don't get to work, I have a garden now. I've started gardening again, which is a blessing of COVID for me. It's just, I love to garden and I finally found a little time to do it. So I think I would recommend for me and hopefully for everybody, you just have to find a place of quiet by yourself to center. And if that can be done, then I think it helps move projects forward in a much more productive way for me, certainly.
It is. That's the practice that is probably the easiest to cultivate and the fastest to lose in our busy life.
And everybody's different. Everybody has something, that they love. I also play the piano. So I've started playing the piano again as a child I played. So it's just nice to find that same centeredness in playing the piano. So whatever it is for you, you just have to find it and honor it and guard that space, because I think with that, you do better work.
Absolutely. Last question. So you have spent a lot of your time on organizations that are focused on women. With Momentum and the Women's Fund, both of which are doing amazing things in Birmingham and beyond. Why is women-centered philanthropy so important to you?
Well, I would say women-centered everything. I mean, not just philanthropy. I think it's wonderful that we have more women philanthropists now. Women are very giving. The women I know are extraordinary and are involved in many, many things. But I feel like organizations like Momentum, which I've been involved in since the beginning when Barbara Royal started it, has been such a great organization to help teach and to build skill set and to network emerging women leaders and now extraordinary women leaders from all over. I mean, it's been such a great thing for our city. And the Women's Fund, they've both been around now a little bit of time, and you can see their track record, which is quite extraordinary. So I think that any organizations, I mentioned Crew, which works with women in real estate in my field, but there are a number of extraordinary women organizations, women-led, women to help develop women's talents. So I'm just a huge fan. I can't say enough about that. And I think it's really our greatest opportunity to keep mentoring and helping lift up these extraordinary young women who are starting to lead in our community. So that's my work as someone who's been doing this for a long time, is to help identify and support any way I can these wonderful young women who are still in Alabama, and many coming back to Alabama. It's been so much fun seeing people return to the state now. So I'm really, really hopeful about the leadership of our state, and our governor's a woman, and you know, it's time for women to lead, and it's great to see us doing that.
Amen.
Yeah.